In the towering cliffs of Zuru, nestled high above the forest floor, a mother eagle watched over her nest. Inside, her only chick chirped, a fragile life filled with promise. Her heart swelled with a fierce, protective love. The world was vast and dangerous, but here, in this high fortress, she believed her baby was safe. Each day, she would soar through the skies, hunting to provide for her little one, always returning to the comforting sight of her fledgling, safe and sound. But peace in the wild is a fleeting thing. One fateful afternoon, while the mother was away, a shadow crept through the undergrowth. A sly fox, driven by a gnawing hunger, had been watching the nest for days. His eyes, glinting with cunning, were fixed on the helpless chick above. With a cruel heart and silent paws, he began his ascent, scaling the rocks with a grim determination. The forest held its breath, but no one dared to intervene. The fox reached the nest. The baby eagle, sensing the danger too late, let out a desperate cry, a plea for its mother that was lost to the wind. The fox snatched the chick in its jaws and scurried back down to the forest floor, disappearing into the shadows as quickly as he had appeared. He brought the stolen prize back to his den, where his own hungry cubs were waiting. For them, it was a meal. For the mother eagle, it was the shattering of her world. When the mother eagle returned, a terrible silence greeted her. The nest was empty. A frantic cry tore from her throat, a sound of pure agony that echoed through the canyons. Where was her baby? She scanned the horizon, her sharp eyes searching every rock and tree, but there was nothing. Panic turned to a cold, crushing despair. Her world, once so full of hope, was now a hollow void. As her cries of grief faded, a small figure emerged from the nearby trees. It was a monkey, his face etched with fear and pity. He had seen it all from his high perch. "The fox," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "It was the fox. He took your child." The words hung in the air, heavy and final. The eagle's sorrowful cry ceased. A new, terrifying stillness fell over her. Her eyes, once filled with maternal warmth, now burned with an icy fire. The forest seemed to sense the change. The wind died down, the birds fell silent, the eagle spread her magnificent wings, and in that moment she was no longer just a mother. She was an avatar of vengeance. Her grief had been forged into a weapon. A silent promise of retribution. The huntress had become the hunted's worst nightmare. Justice had taken flight, silent and deadly, on the wings of a heartbroken mother. Days turned into a tense week. The fox, arrogant in his success, had forgotten the grieving mother above. But she had not forgotten. She watched his den from the heavens, her patience as vast as the sky itself. She learned his routines, the paths his cubs took when they played. And then she began her silent revenge. One by one, when the fox was away hunting, she would descend from the sky like a feathered thunderbolt, a whoosh of wings, a brief, terrified yelp, and then silence. She took the first cub as it wandered from the den. The next day, she took the second. Her strikes were swift, precise, and utterly silent. She left no trace, no sign of a struggle. The fox returned each day to a growing sense of unease. He would count his young, a knot of dread tightening in his stomach. Where were they going? He searched frantically, calling their names, but only the cold wind answered. By the time he understood the horrifying truth, his den was empty. It was too late. The fox stood before his empty home, a howl of anguish ripping from his throat. The pain he had so carelessly inflicted upon another was now his own. And as he looked up in despair, he saw her. A dark shape against the setting sun, descending with terrifying speed. The mother eagle. Her eyes were locked onto him, a promise of a final, terrible justice. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The wind whispered through the empty forest, carrying with it a few soft, downy feathers that drifted slowly to the ground. A somber peace had settled over the cliffs of Zuru. The tale of the eagle and the fox became a legend, a stark reminder passed down through generations. He who brings pain to another at home will one day find that same sorrow knocking at his own door. Because in the wild, and in life, justice sometimes has wings, and its arrival is as certain as the rising sun. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the wild.